Excited to be hosting this presentation with you all, and thank you for attending. If you can't hear, just double check, just send a message through chat, but I'm not seeing any issues come through at the moment, so hopefully we're all good. And maybe check your volume also if you can't hear us. So before we get started, just some housekeeping. Today's webinar is expected to run for 45 minutes. Everyone will be muted, and towards the end, there'll be an opportunity for questions and answers. So in the meantime, while we're going through the presentation, if anything comes up, please put your message through the chat, and then we'll certainly answer that at the end. So sit back, relax, and hopefully you've got yourself a cup of coffee or tea and enjoy the presentation. So next slide, Phil. All right, so today, obviously, myself, AlphaBiz Solutions, and we've got also the experts from Expense Manager, Phil and Rennee. Just a little bit about AlphaBiz for those that don't know us. We're a company all about helping businesses succeed through digital transformation, and that's implementing and supporting your system that provides you one source of truth. And one of our strong emphasis in building a better control and process is doing away with obviously all the silo and disparate systems that may have been implemented to solve a particular and separate problem over time. With better control and processes, it also means eliminating friction in the company to a more flowing state. So for example, how things are handled when, say, a purchase order is raised. You know, are you currently entering that multiple times? Is it hard to track? So we're all about putting processes in place. So yeah, you raise a purchase order and that naturally flows right through to when the invoice is meant to be paid. Better control and process also means eliminate potential exposure, whether that's fraud, cyber attacks, to a more secured business. And lastly, better control also improves staff performance, you know, because there's certainty in the rules and processes. And for example, using the purchase order again, things like applying approval workflows. So once a company has gone through that digital transformation and they've moved on to a modern system that provides you insight, they can start measuring trends and financial information and start making informed decisions. So naturally, once you have that power, obviously the next stage is all about continuous improvements. And how do we further improve and automate digitally? So the reason we've brought Phil and Rennee here today is to share how Expense Manager can intelligently automate your business further. So without further ado, I'll pass it on to Phil.
Great, thanks for the introduction, Shadi. Thanks for the nice wrap, and to the whole team at AlphaBiz for hosting the webinar this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you're joining from. As Shadi mentioned as well, my name's Phil, Channel Partner Manager here at Expense Manager. For the webinar today, I'm going to walk you through a quick presentation before handing over to my colleague Rennee Perri, who's also on the line, to do a live demonstration of our solution. So you can see Expense Manager firsthand and the efficiencies our platform can bring to your organisation. But before I go too far into things, first slide, I just want to give you guys a bit of background about obviously who we are. Expense Manager is a cloud-based expense and invoice automation platform. There are a number of modules that we offer. Firstly, expense management, which includes things such as staff reimbursement claims, company-issued credit cards, and mileage transactions as well. We do also offer accounts payable automation and purchase orders as well, all in one complete platform. This is one of our key differentiators in the market, and our view has always been, why would you take three disparate systems where you can get one complete spend management platform? You will notice on the slide as well, we've also highlighted e-invoicing, which really is the next phase of accounts payable automation. And this will allow us to receive invoice data directly from merchants into our platform. It's sad to say, but 65% of mid-sized companies in Australia and New Zealand are still processing staff out-of-pocket expenses and supplier invoices manually. CFOs know today that going digital is now an essential part of business processes. And COVID-19 has literally accelerated that, with companies needing to pivot and work from home essentially overnight. Automation delivers key benefits across many pain points that companies have when managing spend manually. And it's not just benefits that deliver to the finance team, but end users are then also geared with mobile apps and modern business tools, so they can concentrate on their core roles, not so much shuffling paper. When it comes to expense and invoice processes, one of the greatest drains on costs and efficiencies is the high volumes of paper associated with a manual process. When processing invoices manually, they are often physically signed off by managers for approval, then manually keyed in by the finance team into the ERP system for payment. Industry experts and from our own experience in AP automation show the dramatic difference in not only time, but also cost when processing expenses and invoices manually versus an automated process. Processing 50 expense claims in a month, that's a saving of $1,290 per month, or annually an accumulative total of $15,480. Processing 500 plus invoices in a month, that's a saving of $6,350 per month, or just over $76,000 per annum. We can provide you with an accurate savings cost calculator for your organisation to drill down into the actual cost it takes to process your current expenses and invoices manually versus in an automated platform. Aside from a range of financial reports, Expense Manager also includes an operational dashboard, which gives our clients a near real-time view of their entire accounts process. The dashboard allows companies to monitor a broad range of metrics. For instance, you can visually see a snapshot of all invoices that are outstanding or due for payment, what's overdue, how many company credit cards haven't yet been reconciled or had receipts attached by managers. Our dashboard helps our clients to monitor and streamline their spend process by offering a real insight to their data. Aside from the hard dollar savings, there are quite a number of soft dollar benefits that come with accounts automation as well. It's faster, enabling staff to reconcile expenses and approve invoices literally from anywhere at any time. Being digital totally eliminates document storage, making audit time a much easier process. Errors are dramatically reduced and fraud control is improved. I'll pass over to my colleague Rennee to walk us through a live demonstration of Expense Manager to walk you through how our platform can automate your expense and invoice process. Just note as well, for the demo today, Rennee will go through a live demo of our platform. She will also do a live push into MYB Advanced, showcasing the API. But for all the clients also running AlphaBiz, we do have an easy export process there as well.
Yep, for AlphaBiz, thanks so much, Phil, and thank you everybody for joining us today. So for the AlphaBiz clients, we have a standard data file that can be uploaded by our Expense Manager, a AlphaBiz connector rather than an advanced API. So today, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to be doing is working from two different perspectives. I'm going to be working from our mobile device, but I'm also going to be working from our desktop as well. I'm also going to log in as three different personas of the business. I'm going to log in as an employee, also as a manager, and then we're going to log in as accounts payable. So logging in straight away as our employee from the mobile device, the very first page that opens up is what we refer to as our receipts vault. In here, this is where I store my photos of my receipts throughout the month. What happens to those receipts is that they will reconcile at a later stage to go towards my bank statement, my credit card bank statement. So in here, you can see I've already got a couple of receipts that I've already spent money on throughout the month and taken a photo. Let's come and grab another receipt in here as well. And we have a built-in app for that. And in here, because we're running a Zoom session today, I have to pick a saved receipt. Now, as soon as I hit the save button, it will automatically kick into gear with the OCR scanning and also a service that is our core differentiator of expense managers, which is our human in the loop service. So what we do is we bring in the amounts. We also bring in the supplier and the GST amount. You can manually come in and override these if you want to, or let the system pick it up as well. So with our OCR scanning and the human in the loop, what that actually means is OCR scanning can sometimes make an error. And what we do is make sure that we teach the machine some machine learning to make sure it picks up the correct data at all times for you. You'll also see that we've done a little bit of coding on behalf of the employee. We've said that this particular employee works for Jim's Constructions and they're part of the cost center finance. Now, if you have multiple entities, and we know that people do, you can actually override it and select the particular spend that you were doing for which business entity it's applicable for. Likewise, if I wasn't spending money for the finance team, perhaps I was spending money for the marketing team, I'm able to change my cost center. And now we have asked the employee to select a GL account. Now you're going to have a lot more GL codes in your finance system than you ever would need in Expense Manager. This is a role-based platform, meaning that you're only going to have a certain amount of GL codes that are applicable to your job in the business. I'm a rep who's out and about. I'm always on the road. So here I've got a bunch of my GL codes that are applicable to my role. For this particular expense, we're going to just select staff amenities. And I'm now going to select a project. Again, this is a core differentiator of expense managers. We do have projects here listed here. So let's select an opening here, and I will say the description is, and go ahead now. And I can do two things. I can go ahead and save this to go towards my bank statement on my credit card and store in my vault, or I can go ahead and add this to an out-of-pocket expense for a cash reimbursement claim. I'm going to go ahead and save that receipt to go towards my spend on my credit card, and I'll add one more receipt in now. This time we're going to add in a taxi charge. And again, once I hit the save button, it will kick into that OCR scanning and bring in the supplier and the amount value. I'm going to leave it that I'm working for Jim's Construction. And yes, this time I was part of the finance team spend. I'll select my GL code, and I'm also going to put in what it was for. Now, this time I'm going to add this to a claim. And you'll notice here that I can do two things. I can add it to a new reimbursement, or if I already raised one at the start of the month, I can add it to an existing one. Let's go ahead and add that to an existing claim. And you're now going to see that the description of the claim period, and also our very first workflow in Expense Manager. Here I can see that my workflow starts with John Red. And John doesn't have a valued amount, and it doesn't, he can just approve as I push this through. However, if Thomas was my boss and my spend was $500 and under, I could Thomas would have to approve it. If I spent over the $500, it would actually have to go to Michael for approval. And likewise, if I spent over the $5,000, it would then bump over to Jeremy. You can have as simple or as complicated workflows in Expense Manager as required. We will help set these up during implementation. You'll also see now on my expense claim that I've got two other expenses that I've already spent. I did some postage throughout the month and also some petrol as well. Clicking into that taxi receipt while it's scanning, as I scroll down, I can see that my receipt is there ready to go. I can add some supporting information in here too if I need to add another receipt document in. And you'll also see that I can split this expense. So perhaps while I was out, I was actually traveling with another team member, and this time they weren't part of the finance team. So at the top here, I can see my first split, and below it, I can see my second split. This time, I'm actually going to select a different team member as well. I'll say that the admin team was also attending with me. I can equalize that split, saying it was 50-50. I can manually come in and override the amounts, and we will recalibrate the percentage for you. Or I can come in and change the percentage. I can also flag if this is personal or not. Once I hit the save button, it will then show on this expense that it is now got a split on it, and the manager will see that. I can also add a note in for my boss. And we will date and timestamp this for the boss. So when this employee sends this for approval to John Red, he's going to see that there's a note there for him to have a look at as well. I can go ahead now and add another expense in, or I can submit this over to my boss right from my mobile device. That automatically brought up, as soon as I hit the submit button, it opened up my claims page. In my claims page, I have 4 folders. I have an unsubmitted folder, a pending folder, a rejected, and an approved. I can actually check through all of these to see the status of any of my claims that I've got listed here. You'll also see that I've got a bunch of invoices that are coming to my Bolt, and I can also already see my bank statement has come in as well for me to action at a later stage. I can go ahead and create a new cash reimbursement, or I can take you over to the mileage now and show you how to run a mileage claim as well. And we'll make that in our new reimbursement. So imagine that I'm coming from my office and I've decided to come home. Then, you know, we can always dream that we're going to go here. And because we've got an integration with Google, we have actually worked out the distance for you. We've set the rate in here, again, role-based. You can actually set the rate dependent on the person's job role. And we've already calculated how much the employee will receive back. We've actually asked them, the employees, for more data. And it's worthwhile mentioning these fields, we can add more fields in for you if you want to capture more data from your employee. I've also been asked for my all-important job code, project code, so I can go ahead, add that in, and also put a description in as well. And now I have the choice to either add that to a new reimbursement, or if I had an existing one open, I could add that to the existing one. I'm going to add this to the new one and go ahead and save that. And that will now bring up that new reimbursement, and I can keep adding expenses throughout the month, or I can submit this straight over to the boss from my mobile device. So that's now sitting in my unsubmitted folder. The one that we pushed through, there it is there. It's actually sitting in my pending folder as well. So logging out of here from our mobile device, we're now going to log back in from our desktop. So I've come in off the road, and I need to now work through and finish off my credit card statement. On my left-hand side of the screen, I could go ahead and create a new reimbursement if I needed to as well. And you'll notice that it has a very similar look and feel from the mobile device. So here I've got my folders up here to work through if I need to. And then I can see my credit card statement is sitting here already populated for me. Now, because I was a good little employee taking photos throughout the month and storing them in my Bolt, all of those receipts have now attached themselves to your bank statement. So we've done all the reconciling on your behalf. You'll notice here on my credit card statement, I've got the claimant name, the date it was created, the amount total as well. And I can also see my workflow. John Red is my approver in here. We can see that there's been a split added on this one, and I can do some quick coding from the front page, or I can work from the back page. If I click into that split, you'll also notice that I can have default splits already set up. So if it's a regular supplier, and I know that the split should be evened out, I can go ahead and actually just apply that, or I can bookmark them and save it as a favorite as well. But what happens if I lose a receipt? And now we know that handbags and wallets chew receipts up all the time. So I've now detached that receipt, and I can put in an exception claim here to the boss. And put in an exception there. And if I look at my front page now, it's showing here that I have a red exception. It won't stop me from pushing this through. What it will do is flag to the boss that he needs to address this and either reject it or dispute it. As I scroll further down, I can see that there's something here for me to action. And if I go ahead now and select the GL code, entertainment, I can now actually put a claim in for FBT. I can state whether it's a 50-50 or an actual. If it's a 50-50, I just need to put the number of people. If it's an actual, I need to put the actual name of the people that I was with. So let's add in a particular employee. And we're also going to add in the people that we were traveling with. We'll select the project code and also what the description was as well. I'm going to go ahead and save that. This will now flag to accounts payable once they run an FBT report through Expense Manager that this particular credit card on this date had an FBT claim ready for them to see. There's also a green exception. So what's a green exception, I hear you say? What happens if you actually receive a supplier that spends on your credit card on a regular basis, but it's below a threshold amount that you're willing to accept without a receipt? We can actually flag that particular supplier as a green exception, meaning that the employee doesn't need to have the receipt and they're able to push this through over to their boss. So for all intents and purposes, my credit card statement has gotten smarter. We've got more information than just the good old supplier name that I forgot and the amount. We also have the cost center, the project code, and the description of what that was about. So now accounts payable absolutely love us. They don't have to do any of the reconciling on our behalf anymore. We're now able to go push this over to accounts, to the boss for approval. Go ahead, submit that. The next thing I'm going to bring your attention to is what an invoice looks like in Expense Manager. So in here on my not submitted page, I've got a bunch of invoices that have come in through my vault. So in here, I can click through on the invoice. I've got one here, and this is what we refer to as a single header scanned invoice from Expense Manager. Here is my supplier. We've already done that OCR scanning and the human in the loop service. We've brought in the supplier name, we brought in their ABN number, the description, and of course that all important invoice number as well. So we also do a duplicate check in here to make sure that you don't pay that invoice a second time. And if you're using our purchase order module, you could also select a purchase order number, a relevant one, and tie that to your invoice as well. In here, I can do the quick coding from the front page as well, like we did before with the credit card statement, or I can work through the back page and keep adding more details to this. I can select my project code. You'll also notice that I can split the expense in here. This is extremely important. We know that you're probably spending lots of money for different departments. I can come in and change the GL code, the project code. Again, I can split those expenses. I can add more split expenses in here and work through it as I need to. Go ahead and save that as well. If I needed to add an additional line in, I'm able to do so, or leave it as is. You'll also notice here that I can add in notes. And of course, we're going to have that all important date and timestamp. And if I had the purchase order from Expense Manager, it would sit in here. I'm also able to add some supporting documentation. Why would I need that? Perhaps you've got packing slips or you've got a manual that needs to be uploaded and saved towards here. You can add that in to your invoice and it will be stored by Expense Manager. I'm able to now go ahead and push this through to my boss, over to John. We're going to look at one more invoice now. And this time we're going to look at a multi-line scanned invoice. So I'm going to pick this particular one, direct couriers. And here you'll notice that we've brought in, again, that supplier detail, the description, the invoice number has been brought over from the invoice. This time, we've also got a whole bunch of lines here that we've brought all over from the data that's sitting here on this invoice. So we've done that OCR scanning and I had the human in the loop service come through and put all the data in here with the total value amounts. You'll also see in this particular one, we set this supplier up with a GL code already. We didn't even ask the employee to add the GL code. We've actually put a default GL code for direct couriers saying that it's postage. Again, you can work from the front page doing the quick coding or work from the back page, split a line item if you need to as well, or push that through to your manager for approval. Okay, so let's go ahead now and submit that over. We've pushed that one through. I'm going to log out from the employee now and actually go in as a manager and do approvals. So in here, the manager has the same very look and feel that he did from his mobile device. You'll also see that we have an approve multiple claims. So if I'm doing a lot of, I'm on the fly, but I'm a busy man or a lady, I can quickly come in and just do a bulk approval if I needed to. I can also individually come in and have a look at all of these items, what needs to be done, and read through them and push them through manually as well. If I go into the credit card statement that the employee sent over to me, I can see that there is a red flag there that I need to address. If I click in, I have the option to either dispute this or approve, or I can actually reject the entire claim. If I reject the claim, it will go back to all of the workflows that you've set up, or if I dispute it, it will actually go back directly to the employee. So for this particular one, we'll actually accept it, but we're going to add a note in so that the employee sees this, but accounts payable will also see this as well. So now that we've accepted this, you'll notice now we've got a green exception here. We've got a split expense, an exception, an FBT claim, and another exception, all on the one bank statement. This lady's been very busy. I'm happy to go ahead and approve, and this will now go over to accounts payable. Clicking in, I'm going to do a multi-approval now for you so you can see what that looks like. Push that through and approve those claims. Now that's all gone through, let's log in as accounts payable. So unlike the on-road staff, accounts payable love to work from the desktop, not from the mobile device. They are the eyes and ears of the business, looking after the money. So they do want to be absolutely coming in and checking what the employees are doing. They can run a summary report straight away and see what's happened. They can see all the receipts as well. They can also run an audit history as well to see what exactly has moved within these claims. You can see as much as the manager can see as well. I can see that there's a note, and also send a note for the employee to see. The accounts payable person can actually come in, manually come and override what the employee's done. Perhaps they put the wrong GL code in. They're able to make those changes. They can also work from the back page as well if they needed to. They also have the right to be able to reject and send it back through all the workflows, or send for review directly to the employee to fix, or actually finalize right from here. Clicking back over into the other items, let's have a look at how we can do a bulk approval. We can select all, finalize, and export those claims over into MyOb. So let's send over the invoices first and export those and send them over. And there we are here. So let's click into the direct couriers one. We have a bi-directional push-pull through with MyOb. So in here, I just clicked straight from Expense Manager, straight into MYOB. In here, you can see we brought in the date, the post period, the supplier reference details, the location, the terms of the agreement, the due date, and also the prompt payment. We've also brought in the branch, the sub-account, the account, and the description of those expenses as well. You'll also see though, if I click here, I can click straight back into Expense Manager and bring up that information there as well. Clicking back over into Expense Manager now, let's go back to our export claim and go have a look at that journal for the credit card and export that over. I'm now going to send that over into MyOb. And there it is there. Again, we brought in the transaction details, the post period, the branch, also the ledger. We brought in all of the branch and description details of that expense that the employee's been making on the credit card spend. We can also see the transaction details here that are listed for that particular spend as well. So if I want to go back into Expense Manager, all I have to do this time is click over here. And here is that transaction that I can see straight on that back into Expense Manager. And I think that's it for me now, Phil.
Yeah, that's great, Rennee. Can I just take the control off you 1 second?
Yep.
Great, thank you, Rennee. So as you would have saw from Rennee's demonstration, we have that easy one-click API into MYB Advanced. Obviously, we do also have that direct integration into AlphaBiz as well. So we do have a standard data file out of Expense Manager, ready to be uploaded using the Expense Manager AlphaBiz connector. Obviously, for any more details on the integration of the way we work with either product, you can either reach out to us or the whole team over at AlphaBiz as well. Obviously, businesses like to buy locally, and we develop deep and strong relationships with our clients. For example, our very first client was KFC Restaurants, and they're still one of our clients with us today. Being here on the ground means our clients have a local and personal implementation, plus the benefit of local ongoing support as well. In fact, everything that we do, be it sales, implementation, development, and support, is right here onshore. If you need to speak to us, it's just a matter of picking up the phone and giving us a call at any time. Here's a quick testimonial from an existing MYB Advanced site, plus other household names up there who trust Expense Manager alongside MYB Advanced and AlphaBiz and the team at AlphaBiz to automate their business processes every day. You're in good company. Clients all across Australia choose an Expense Manager alongside leading ERP systems like MYB Advanced and AlphaBiz. And our clients are spread across a broad range of industries. We've been very successful in the not-for-profit, food retail, consulting, manufacturing industries, just to name a few. I did mention at the start of the demonstration as well, we do have that full ROI calculator. So if you would like to drill down into your own ROI, feel free to reach out after the webinar. Also, as an offer to any AlphaBiz clients who sign up as a part of this webinar, we'll also waive the first month of your monthly charges as well. I'll just pass back over to Shadi so we can quickly walk through the Q&A. But if you would like to go through a more detailed discussion, have a one-on-one demonstration from us, you can reach out to any of your rep over at AlphaBiz. You can then organise a demo from there, or you can also reach out to us directly on the details above. But over to you, Shadi. We'll just see if there's any questions and we can go from there.
Lovely. Thanks, Phil and Rennee. Fantastic presentation there. Before I get into the Q&A, we do have 10 minutes left, so we've got a bit of time and there's a few questions in here. Look, there's a lot there that Rennee and Phil showed. Phil, demonstrated the savings, and please take advantage of that return on investment calculator just to see, what the potential saving is by digitally automating with a product like Expense Manager. And it was really great to see what Rennee was able to show in a way of just a receipt capture. Now, a lot of systems do receipt captures, but does it have that intelligence that you're able to program it into which GL it's meant to post to, or even to that line level? We do get a lot of people that need an invoice also to sort of link back to the purchase order. So these are all strong features that Expense Manager are able to provide. Okay, so let's jump into the questions. First one here we have, so obviously there's a few areas that Rennee had shown, and this person is asking, do I have to take all modules at the same time?
Yeah, so I'll jump in and answer these. So no, our platform is totally modular. So it's really up to you guys as a client in terms of how you want to roll the platform out. We have some clients who come on board and say they might have a big pain point around, say, expenses, like out-of-pocket expenses and credit cards, get that up and running, and then look at AP as a phase 2. Or you can take all modules in one go. It's really the client's decision there with how they want to roll it out.
Okay, thank you. And where's the data hosted?
So all of our data is stored on Amazon Web Services in Sydney. So all the data is stored onshore. That's obviously a key requirement for any not-for-profit clients, any government clients, and obviously the data is all stored locally.
Fantastic, excellent. And is your support team local or offshore?
So all of our support team is here in our office in Sydney. In fact, everything that we do, whether it's support, implementation, sales and development, is all here onshore as well.
Yeah. And so this one, I'll get Phil to explain, but Rennee did demonstrate it. But can I view the receipts and invoices from within my OB? Actually, that's a good question. No, we didn't see that actually.
So we've got a couple of options there. So by default, we send the document link. That's available in both MYP Advanced and SciBiz. So if you're looking at the invoice or an expense claim in MYP Advanced, it's just a matter of clicking through on that hyperlink. We do also have an option to post the document itself. So they've got either option there. But to be honest, the bulk of clients choose that document link because it obviously doesn't accumulate any storage in Advanced.
No, that's great. It's so important to have that bi-directional link, keeping a tight integration. On that, so who's involved in setting up the integration? That's one question we've got out there.
So we'll work hand in hand with AlphaBiz to get that integration up and running. Obviously, it depends on what ERP, what product you guys are running. Obviously, for MYP Advanced, we're a certified app, so we have a customization package to upload into MYP Advanced. And for SciBiz, we have that SciBiz connector that we can run through with AlphaBiz as well.
No problem. Excellent. Well, that's it, I suppose. There's no other questions. I just wanted to say, everyone, thank you for attending. Take advantage
There's just
of...
one more, actually.
Go for it, mate. Sorry.
There's just one more question just in the chat just come up from Rosalie. Just the due dates on the invoices. Just on that, there's a couple of ways that we can handle that, Rosalie. So we can actually scan the actual due date from the invoice. So as a part of our scanning process, we can scan the actual due date from the invoice itself. Or we can also use the payment terms that you have set up in the supplier record in MYP Advanced as well. So you've got either option there. Sorry for cutting you off there, Shadi.
No, and sorry, Rosalie, for not picking that one up. So thanks, Phil. It's always good to have a second set of eyes. So I just wanted to finish off to say also, yeah, reach out to the guys at Expense Manager or to us and take advantage of that special offer that they're having for this month. And we look forward to working with you all. So thank you again.
Great. Thanks so much, Shadi. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.